Hey D&D fam. I'm Quick.
And I'm Lee, and you're listening to
Divas and Ducats. So what is a diva? I think divas get a bad rep. But to me, diva is all about the attitude.
As for Ducat, it's your finances, your assets, Skrilla, guap, your coin. We're talking all things with the potential to affect your pockets.
And while we're attorneys by trade, we are divas by choice. Divas and Ducats is for edutainment purposes.
Y'all, we are not Series 511 or 703 professionals. This does not create a financial advisor or attorney-client relationship. The views expressed here are solely our opinions and the opinions of our guests.
It's just our opinions, y'all. Okay, divas, let's talk Ducats.
All right, hello. As we continue January, top of the year, hope everyone enjoyed their festivities and is COVID-free.
Mm-hmm. And then you're writing 2022 instead of 2021.
Yeah, it takes a little time. So we're back, and we came to talk about that resignation flex. We kind of teased the last time our guest, Courtney Rhodes, was here, that she would be back to talk with you all about, getting those promotions or getting up out of there if it's no longer working for you. So we had to bring her back to talk through some things, make sure you're equipped to have those conversations. And so that's what we are doing today.
Yes, we are very, very excited to have her in person with us, because you know how the end of 2021, we had most of our guests were virtual, so we get really excited when we get to have a guest in our studio. But before we talk about her at the top of 2022, we are super, super excited because we have a sponsor.
Yes.
And so this episode is being sponsored by Wood & Bowers. You can find him on our Wills episode from last year.
Yeah, it's almost 2 years ago.
Gosh, time is flying.
It did. He did it in
2020. Yeah, so it was on the podcast audio, Spotify, and Apple then. Yep. So you can go back and listen to that Wills episode to hear him in person and hear Wood & Bowers. But tell us a little bit about their firm.
So Wood & Bowers, they handle various areas, but especially if, let's say you're working, doing your thing, and you're hurt on your job.
Right.
Or,
that workers' comp. Yep.
Okay, that accident where somebody's trying to pay you under the table. They don't want you to call the company. You got a personal injury issue. You get hurt at someone's home.
Right.
They act like they don't want to help you out.
Yep, those civil suits. Yeah.
Exactly. So hit them up.
Yes, Wood & Bowers, they can handle all of those needs. So you can hit them up at 704-665-5838. That is their phone number, and their website is wbvlaw.com. That is wbvlaw.com for Wood & Bowers firm. And we are, again, excited to have this episode sponsored by that firm.
Yes, hit them up. They did my will, so.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it. So, welcome, Courtney, career whisperer.
So, if you guys, like we said, we had her taking us out in 2021 doing the interviews, and we were just talking kind of privately before we started this, and she was saying like end of the year and top of the year is kind of that hiring period for a lot of the corporations. And during the interviews we were kind of speaking to the fact that women don't necessarily ask for those numbers that they need, and or they might be hired for a certain position, and they're in that tenure of that position start taking on extra work that they're not being paid for, right? So that just kind of leads us to, okay, they don't want to give you those ducats, or it's time for you to make moves, and you're not able to make the lateral moves or other moves that you want to make. So you need to be able to do a good resignation flex on, right? Yes. So let's get into that, and we're going to do some role playing here, because I think a lot of times for us, it's easy to ask a question but not necessarily know the wording. A lot of times we're just really, really nervous. Maybe more so as females, obviously, to make sure that we're saying the right wording, not to offend, but to definitely get our points across and get those things out that we need when we're doing those, especially when we're resigning, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're doing the resignation, is it still, because we used to resign by letters, right? The 2 weeks notice. Is it still very common to do? I guess by now it would be email. People aren't writing letters anymore. So, yes.
Yep. The resignation letters are still, it's by email. Very quick. I mean, it's over. I mean, it's it's not a love letter.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's an end of a thing. And so
Yeah.
you write, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sever up my affairs. There you go.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you this, any job that I've left, I resigned. I had my resignation letter on hand, probably sometimes in some cases years.
Mm.
I already had it written out. So when I was at that point, I changed the date, maybe changed the boss if that changed, and then I would submit.
Oh, wow.
So I would leave.
You already kind of
Yeah.
knew, like at some point.
I'm gone. Yeah,
Right.
this is it. Like whatever that was, that turning point. We all have that time
Yeah.
or issue that happens. And you're like, this is it. I'm done with you guys. I'm collecting a check and I'm here, but it's over.
I'm making my
Right.
ways.
Mhm.
I'm making my moves.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you have that conversation? So the situation where, maybe you don't want to leave, but now I'm taking on extra responsibilities or my role or certain things have changed. It's not exactly what I was hired to do.
Yeah.
So walk us through, like we said, a little role play or a little example of how does that conversation about the extra compensation go?
Yes. So really the role play goes, you're talking to your manager. You could do it two ways, actually. You could verbally have that conversation and put time on their calendar and talk about, hey, I've taken on X, Y, and Z stretch assignments. In these cases now where the market is so hot, people are leaving their jobs.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are overcompensating because 3 people on their teams are leaving
Right.
Yeah.
and they're doing the job. And no one's talking about, hey, I know we need to fill these roles. We're having a hard time filling them. But what does it look like paying Courtney until we fill the 3 roles?
Right.
No one's saying that. So you need to bring it to their attention to say, hey, just wanted to have a conversation with you. I noticed that the 3 of my colleagues just left and we were all, they were my peers. We worked on a team. I'm now a team of 1 and I'm overexerting myself. I wanted to have a conversation of what it looked like for me to have an increase in my pay, whether it was from an interim basis until you fill the gaps with the people, or permanently finding an opportunity to elevate me. And then just having a conversation from there, and if you don't feel comfortable having the conversation, just make a business case and send it to your manager and to the skip level manager for them to have a conversation about what, talk to some compensation people, because if you're saying that you're doing the job of 3, you're not. Most people are not asking for the job of 3. They're just asking for extra,
Right.
10,000, 20,000, whatever, So you're still saving and you're still able to fill the positions. So don't be afraid to have that conversation.
And so with that, so you're saying, like, as you're doing the job, I think just as much as how do you say it is when do you say it? Like, do you have to wait for a review time or?
No.
Okay.
No. If you're doing the work, if you're doing the work, I would say 30 days has gone by, person A, person B, person C has not been filled and you're doing the work. And we all know that even if the more work that you take on, even if you work the 40 hours a week that they want you to work, there is still the stress level.
Right.
So people have to understand that, like, you may be bored in your current role, but that's what you signed up for.
Right.
That's what they paying you for. They're paying you for your brain.
Right.
So if you're taking on the responsibility of 3 other people and it's stressing you out, maybe you're working to the last minute of 40 hours, they have to pay you for that. They have to compensate you for that.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah.
She said anytime's the right time.
Right.
Sounds right
And it is not review time. You do not wait till the end of the year.
Right.
Do not wait.
said
Do
30
not pass
days.
go. Yeah. Look at 30 days. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm doing this work. We need to come back to the table and have a conversation about this.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
And so when we talked about that, just the negotiation of salaries during the interview process, they were willing to give you an offer. It's time to make those negotiations. One, why do you think that? I mean, because I know a lot of it was just our not feeling that we're qualified enough. I don't even think it's not feeling like we're qualified enough, because you said, like, in that example you gave, in the interview example, you said that the guy was kind of underqualified and the woman had the 20 years of experience, but he is the one who asked for all the money, right?
Yep.
So from your experience, why don't we like to negotiate for our salary? And then how do you negotiate for your salary? How do you do that once you're offered?
With women, I don't know, like I coach a lot of women in this space. A lot of times people will say, I just don't want to look like I'm being greedy, you know, and they count the company's money. You're counting a multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar, then you're worried about the $2,000 extra or the $20,000 extra that you're asking for. Like, really? Like, this is not your mom's purse. Like, this is a corporation. Like, like you can't do that. It's just weird. The responses that I hear, like, why don't you want to ask for the money? Well, I just don't think they have it in the budget. Well, what's wrong with asking and them coming back saying they don't have it in their budget? And then you're saying, being comfortable enough to say, if you don't have it in your budget, right now we just can't work together and we'll move on. Because if they don't want you, and if you do something wrong, think about it on the flip end. They'll let you go.
Right.
It's a conversation. That's it. They let you go.
No negotiation.
There's no negotiation. Right. So what's the harm of going up when it comes to your salary and someone telling you no? I think that's another fear too. Women just don't want to hear no. Like, it took enough courage for me to apply to this job, Courtney. Like, even though I'm qualified, even though I have the years of experience, it's taken a lot out of me to even get to this point and for me to talk to these people on the phone and to interview. And how dare you say, I got to ask for more money. Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, just being honest, like, if it's that first big role or first big position or first time you like, oh, I'm not going to have to eat ramen. Yeah. Like, you're so excited for it that you're like, I mean, I'm good.
This looks great to me.
Right. Not realizing the effect that it has on, like, when we talk about, when we start talking about your bonuses, or you start talking about the fact of, like, as a woman, if you have kids, you're out of the labor force, it starts kind of eating away at the climb. You start creating that gap between you and your male counterparts, sometimes your counterparts who are not of color, just all kinds of gaps. So I don't know if you agree. Would you say, like, you have pretty much the most leverage in terms of salary at hire, or do you feel differently about that?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Though it's as if they close the doors at the end of that. You know, think about it. We just had the whole conversation about the person coming back to the table. Now, how uncomfortable is that? They have your numbers. They know your numbers. This is not up. These are not arbitrary numbers. They can go to HR and pull your numbers in compensation. So imagine how difficult it is for someone who has your numbers, and for you to even talk to somebody, because now you're programmed to think you're X thousands worth of dollars of a year. Like, you know that they're thinking that, you're thinking that, everybody's programmed and typecast you to be at this level. Right. Yet you're giving stellar work. You've proven yourself. And it's very hard. I've been behind the scenes with companies. It's very hard for them to, let me give her an extra. I don't really want to give her that much. I mean, if we give her, we already know her salary is $80,000. We gave her $100. I mean, really, like, that's a lot. Right. Like, they start counting your money. You know, so absolutely, your leverage is in the beginning. Like, it's your poker face. It's your time to, you know, put all the cards on the table. Let them come back, tell you yes or no. And I mean, go to the penny with everything. Relocation, everything, all of it. It's your time to ask for it.
Okay.
So how do we do that? Courtney, you've been offered this job. We are so excited to have you on. We're going to offer you $120,000.
Well, based on my experience and skill set, and based on my previous experiences, that just is a bit too low for what I would like to come in under. My expectations would be around 140. You know, I'm open to hearing if you have a cash sign on or if you have some type of stock available. And I would also need to make sure that my schedule is flexible. I want to be sure that we're on the same page when it comes to that. And I don't want to assume that you guys allow for remote capability, because that is something that I will require as well. That's it. That's the post. That's it.
Flex.
So now, from there, do they usually, and I guess there's no one size fits all, but does it start being that bargaining back and forth of, okay, we're not going to do 140, we might do 130, or is it, so you continue kind of that back and forth until you get to a point where you're satisfied?
Yep, because here's what they don't know. I'm happy at 130, but I went 140 because they can do three things. They can say yes to the 140. Who's going to be mad about $10 extra $1,000? Right. Nobody. They can say no, but they can come in the middle, and they can say, we can meet you in the middle at 135, and maybe we give you a few thousand and sign on, some extra stock or some extra days off, whatever. Right. Or they may come back and say, well, no altogether. Okay. But at the end of the day, they're not going to take the 120 away.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go back to the table. I may have to come back down, or I may have to get creative because it's a firm offer. Okay,
Right.
well, let's talk about some other areas.
Okay.
So I always tell my clients, you want to go up, way up, so that, I just had a client a couple months ago that we went over the range. Like when he countered, we went over and they accepted it entirely. So he was paid an extra $10,000 that he wasn't expecting.
Right.
So you always take the number up and then allow them to go down or not go down at all and just accept it.
And that made me think, like, as you were saying, in our example, we went up 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a number that becomes offensive? Because, of course, as a woman, my thought did go, so, like, what number, how much more is it when there's just like, oh, I'm being disrespectful?
So you want to take into consideration a couple of things. Number one, you want to think about what you currently make. Okay. Now, disclaimer, do not tell what you currently make. If you bring it to the table, they'll write it down.
They sure will.
But they're not going to ask you that because there's so many laws on the books in California, in New York, and a couple of other states that have inherited that. And if you're talking about an organization, they kind of take the status quo. So they're not going to ask you that. Okay. But for purposes of equations, you're going to look at what you currently make.
Gotcha.
Then you're going to also look at what does the market lends itself for this position. Are you being paid properly in your current role based on your skill set? And you can look at different sites. LinkedIn is a great place to take a look for that. Glassdoor. There are a couple of other sites that I can provide to you guys that you can share with your audience. You can look at some of those sites to make sure that you're okay. The third thing you want to look at is based on what your needs are in your household.
Okay.
Is my salary covering that?
Right.
And I'm not just talking about, making sure you don't eat ramen.
Right.
Does it cover that I want to take trips? Or does it cover, I want to put my kids in a certain school, or I want to be able to afford certain things, or I want to put money away. Is it affording those things?
Yeah.
So when I sit with my clients, we talk about all of that and we package the number based on that.
Okay.
Now, here's the secret. They don't need to know your equation. All they need to know is the numbers.
Right.
Gotcha.
So all you got to do is be able to spit out the 140. Because I've done my homework. I've done my research on this. I understand the numbers. So when I say it to you, it's in confidence.
Yeah.
Because we've written it all down. But that's the equation that I use with my clients when they're going for offers.
Okay.
So then when they do that, it's very easy for you to say, oh, I could ask for 140. Actually, I should ask for 150. Based on all the stuff I'm reading.
Right.
You have to be able to research yourself. You need to be a business of one.
Okay.
So you have to come to the table like a business. And
Yeah.
a business wouldn't just throw out a number.
Right.
A business would have facts and markups and margins. That's what you should do for your salaries.
Okay.
I like that. So what does that work? You saying that they wouldn't know what your salary is. Does that work if you're doing an internal application for another job? Like, because you know that if you're internally, usually you can see the hiring ranges.
Yep.
Can they see what you're paid?
They typically do. I mean, if it's internal, they're
Okay.
working with the same. Most companies have
the same HR.
the same HR. They're looking at the compensation.
Yep.
Sometimes there are a lot of unwritten rules that we can only go up a certain amount if it's an internal.
Yeah.
Again, leverage is at the front door as an external candidate.
Okay.
Internal candidates, they kind of have you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I did work with the guy that had the increase. He was an internal candidate. That was an internal move.
Okay.
So that was out of the box for that to
Yeah.
even happen.
Right.
But again, this market is so crazy. I don't want to discourage internal people because right now the market is so crazy and organizations don't want to lose people.
Yeah.
You got some leverage there.
Yeah.
You can go out, get another offer on the table and
Yep.
and go back and forth with them. So, it's right now it's just a weird market. It's an
Yeah.
employee's market. You can really do what you want to do. I mean, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this with the hiring and the requesting. So, take heed to everybody can I don't know how long this is going to last. So,
Just like this housing. Go ahead
right.
and get what you can
Go ahead and get what you can get. Yes. Don't play around. But, don't take advantage of it to your benefit. Get your money up. Get where you want to go.
Yeah. And one thing I was going to say, I don't feel free to chime in. I noticed, at least when I was hired, and one thing they mentioned it, and I was like, let me throw that in. Like, they almost prompted me. If you have like a professional, whether it's I don't know, something where you got to do continued education
Mhm.
or something like that. You know, I think folks with tax, I know folks
Mhm.
with real estate have to.
Mhm.
Like, you can
Nurses.
even get that included because those CLE classes are not cheap.
No.
Nope.
And you got to do it every year. So, you know, that might be something to consider when you're negotiating, like making sure those are covered, or maybe even some conferences or something like that. So
Yeah, you wanna ask for that, especially if you know you have to have a professional license like a CPA, your law license, any of those things, and it's supposed to be a part of the job. Like they're hiring you specifically to do that. Yes, you want to ask: are you able to pay bar dues? Are you able to provide a stipend for continuing education? And if you don't have that background where it's not required for you to have a specific certification, ask if they have some type of tuition reimbursement program, or if they will provide stipends for your continuing education. To your point, going to conferences. So one of the jobs I worked, there was a budget for each of us to have continuing education and conferences that we could go to, and that, you just had to request for it, but it was there. So you want to ask what type of perks do they have outside of the salary. To that end, making sure what can they offer financially, like financial advice, legal aid, like prepaid legal sometimes is added in there. What do they give for reimbursements for exercise and fitness and well-being? There's a lot of extra perks that you want to take a look at when you're looking at just your salary.
And then I know we were mentioning earlier, just like in corporations that give stocks as part of also compensation packages.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that we think of, especially in the lower ranges of salaries, right?
Yeah.
But should we be considering those things? I think we think about that. We think,
They're
unless I'm making
making
$500,000,
right,
then I'm not getting stock. But is that a thing? Like, can a person in the lower end of the range get stock?
Listen, millionaires are made in corporate every single day from stock. Remember that. Like people that move up, not even just moving up. I mean, you think about people that have been with organizations for decades, 20 some odd years, and they just started to invest into stock. Like, they received stock for performances. They also were aggressive, and they put in the discounted rate for the stock. Millionaires are made. I hate when people say that you cannot become a millionaire in corporate. It's a lie. Like you can take those assets if you play your cards right. Get with a financial advisor. That's money. And you're with a company that has a strong backing, that they're cash rich. That's money. That's untapped money. That I know people that have taken their stocks, what they've received in the vesting period, and taken it to their student loans. Like, I'm just going to take that strictly to my student loans. It doesn't, hit my account.
Right.
Or I'll pay for my kids' private school. Or I'll pay for my house. I talked to several people that will say, oh, you know what? I don't have any more debt anymore. I'm just going to take what I'm getting from my stock investments and take it towards and just store it down in my house.
Okay.
So it's another way of thinking.
Right.
Again, a business of one.
Yeah.
So when you're in that situation, you're in a different tax bracket. You need a financial advisor.
Yep.
It's hard for people to grasp themselves being
A business.
Yeah. But that's what you are.
Yeah, for sure. So we try to do all these negotiations, right? We tried to let them know our worth,
Put our
and they
best
didn't
case
see
forward.
it.
They
So
didn't.
time to go.
Yeah.
Time to resign. What do you do? What is the resignation flex, as you call it? What is that? How do you feel about the resignation flex?
You just write that letter. Like I told you all,
I already got it.
Any job that I've ever left, I left a long time ago. Like my resignation letter, like if they ever check IT or whatever, my resignation letter was sitting there years. And I would, let's say I get upset, I'm gonna change the date because I'm hoping I get up out of here now. And I would just, all I would do is update it. Maybe put some extra words in there if I was upset, delete, whatever.
Right.
It was a safe place for me to just go in there. Maybe it happened. A lot of times it happens when people are asking for more money, or they're asking for a promotion, or they're being turned away. They write it right then there. If they don't, well, my clients, when they come to me, have you written your resignation letter? Why would I do that? I haven't. I said, I didn't say submit it.
Right.
But go ahead and write it. It's something very therapeutic.
Right.
It's something about writing the words down. It's like pretty much writing the vision and making it plain as you don't know where you're going. In this letter, but I know I'm going somewhere and I'm not going to be here any longer. So that's the first thing I do. Just write the resignation letter. That's the first flex. Like, y'all don't even know I'm gone, but all right, I'll keep playing this game.
Tapped out.
Yep. Then you go back and you do the research. Okay, why didn't they act? Why didn't they? Was it valid?
Right.
Did I not have the experience, or did they just typecast me? Did they not just want to give me more money and they just want to keep overworking me? 9 times out of 10, they just want to keep overworking you.
Right.
So you take that into the market and then you rebrand yourself. Don't go out, woe is me. Nobody wants that.
Right.
You got to go out in the market like, hey, I bring X, Y, and Z to the table. I've been overcompensating for my team. I'm ready to support you.
Right.
So that's how you do it. Like you take the day. If you need a day after that, that's a hard day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's for somebody that, well, we value you. You
Just not monetarily.
you're just
Right.
you're endearing, we appreciate your company. But right now, just where the budget is set up, and then you're looking on the stocks and you're looking at bonuses from senior execs, and it just doesn't make sense.
The math isn't mathing.
Yeah, it's not mathing at all. It's not mathing for you. It's not mathing at all.
For me.
Yeah,
Right.
it's mathing for everybody else. I don't understand. It's even mathing for you giving me this speech. So, at that point, like they don't value what I'm bringing to the table. It's time to move on. It's okay.
So is the flex the actual process of the therapeutic? Like, what is the flex? As you kind of created that brand for you, like, what is the flex? How would you describe that?
That flex is all of that work that you're doing is getting up to the flex. So, writing the resignation letter, looking for a job, interviewing. The real flex is submitting that resignation letter and submitting that resignation flex and letting them know y'all won't be able to use me anymore. This is it. And receiving that response, like hitting them with the flex. They weren't expecting that.
Right.
Maybe they were, people shortchange people all the time.
Yeah.
One of my clients, she was just bent on I really want to have a conversation. I don't want to send a resignation letter.
Okay.
I just want to have, and I'm like, but they've screwed you over. I don't get it. But if you want to, go ahead.
That closure need.
Yeah, she needed that closure. You don't need that closure. You just doubled your salary. You don't need it.
Bless her heart.
So she reached out to her boss, and what did her boss do? He used all types of curse words at her to explain himself, and he was upset, and he felt like she did him wrong, and this, that, and the third. She left upset, and she was like, I should have just flexed. I should have just sent him with the flex with the letter.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later. 8 o'clock in the morning, you send that letter. Bye. Have a nice day. They'll figure it out.
They will.
They'll figure it out. But yeah, that's what the flex is. Okay. Like knowing that, hey, I don't need this.
Yes.
You guys played me. You know you played me.
Right.
Guess what? The jig is up. I'm out.
Right. And what I got in the back burner is way better than this.
Right. I got my money together.
Right.
Yeah.
I got people that respect what I have. For right now, if they don't, we'll move on. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But right now, I'm in a space right now where I value me. I know what I bring to the table. You're not going to devalue that. That is the flex. Understanding what you have inside of you.
Yeah. And that makes me think of, I say all the time, because I think for a long time, especially in corporate, people, and I think it's, going back to that whole, it might be just a people of color thing in general, but especially Black folks, you're told since you're little that twice as hard, you gotta be twice as good to get half as far and all of that. And so when you get a good job, whatever that looks like for you, you almost overwork yourself to prove I'm valuable here.
Right.
I should be here. And so that becomes the culture, right? A lot of people in corporate almost brag about being overworked. And I think one of the things that made me, especially downtime in corporate, you have, times it's like there's just less to do. And you almost feel bad, like, am I not working enough? What's going on? And someone said to me, if you were to die tomorrow, they will replace you in 3 weeks. So all of this stressing about the company, get that work-life balance. And to your point, get the things that you need and are important to you, because the company, as she said, will be fine. And they will figure it out.
They
so
always
you're not,
figure it out.
Yeah.
You're worthy, but to them, you're replaceable.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of that in life, period. Like, if I just see somebody constantly stressing, even kids, husband, it don't matter. Like, if you die, they will figure it out.
Yes.
Stop killing yourself. So, I mean, it's a corporation. They may not even know my name.
Right. Right.
So I definitely believe that for sure.
That's the best attitude to have.
Yeah.
And going back to like what you should negotiate, your time. Like I negotiate my time. My time is my money. It's the most valuable thing that I have. That's why for me, I negotiate for my clients. So hard for them to negotiate your money so that you can have breathing room. It's something about not being able to afford the basics and then not being able to afford the luxuries, whatever your luxuries are. It makes you run harder and faster. You know, it's like having little legs and they're just they just
Can't
moving.
stop.
They can't stop. But if
Yeah.
you ever notice the stride of somebody who is comfortable in their position, they're making their money. Their strides are a little bit longer and they're slower. And they have time to process things and they're not everywhere and sweating and carrying on and running from one meeting to the next. The money is made at an easier pace because they're using their brain. You know, like and we all have that in us to do it. So I'm not killing myself for a job at all. No, you're gonna pay me enough where I can take breaks, take deep breaths, meditate, and show up and be productive and then leave.
Right.
Love it. So when you were saying like preparing yourself to do the resignation, like the part of that resignation is going out into the market, making yourself marketable. Talk to that a little bit. I know it's updating resumes, you know, trying to find other jobs, but I guess one of the bigger concerns is when you're currently in a job, I don't know if people still ask for like referrals or can I talk to your manager? Like, I don't know if they still ask about like a manager's.
They typically don't.
Okay.
So, you know, because they know you're in your current role and who wants their manager to know that they're interviewing, you know, unless you're in an internal situation, they will ask. They're going to ask, you know, they're going to ask for that. Do you have permission or are your performance reviews accurate enough for you to go out and search?
And your answer to that is?
What for
like if they not, do you have permission to be interviewing? Is that what they're going to be asking?
Yeah, I mean, depending on whatever. Now, if you're internal, the rules are a little bit different. You got to go by the policy because you're within that organization. So their policy may be, hey, get an okay from your manager, and if your manager is good with it, then you can move forward. Or it may be at least having a performance review that is standard or higher. Like you meets expectations or higher, you can interview. You're free to interview. Whatever the rules are, read the rules and go for it. Now, external is free game. No, I prefer you not reach out to them. You know, I'm not trying to hide anything, but I still work for these people. And if you say no, then what am I supposed to do? Yeah, come on. No, it's a no. So yeah, you have that leverage. Again, going back to leverage, it's always that external on the outside.
Okay.
And so what are some of the like don'ts? We talked about homegirl who just, I need to say the thing. When you're doing the resignation flex, what are some of the things to steer away from?
Don't feel like you need to have closure. You know, like what do you need closure for? The closure happened when they rejected you for a livable wage. That was the closure. Your closure is sending the letter, sending the 2 sentences. It don't have to be a long sentence, maybe 2 to 3 sentences. It's not. This is not a Leah 4-page letter. This is not a love letter. It's not. You know, just
you remember when?
Yep. Let me drop. You know, no, it's none of that. You know, it's none of that. It's very simple to the point. I'm leaving. This is my date. This is what I'll do before I leave. So people always feel like they have to be vindicated. You're vindicated by getting your money and leaving. You know, that's it. That's all you need. So don't fall into that trap feeling like you have to have that. The other thing is sometimes being at certain jobs are abusive. It's like being in an abusive relationship. And what do you have to do when you're in an abusive relationship? You need help. You got to get therapy. You got to get cleansed. You got to see yourself in a different light. So I always tell people, you know, be sure to not take that baggage that you're holding from this position into your next position.
Got you.
Yeah.
And that puts me in mind the closure aspect, puts me in mind of like the exit interview. Some companies have that. What I wonder is, one, do you have to do an exit interview? And two, is it of value? Like, do the things that you share, does the company actually evolve or take that information and do anything with it?
Number one, no, you don't have to. You're not obligated to do that. And then two, maybe. But it's really up to you if you feel, you know, if you feel up to it, to give them information of how to increase their organization. An exit interview, people are like, oh, I need closure. I really just want to get a lot off my chest. That exit interview is for them if they're smart. I mean, it's not data. It's not statistics. This is someone sitting in the seat telling you how they felt, what happened, what you could have done to have them to sit in the seat longer. What were some of the pitfalls? Who was doing wrong? That, you know, you may be able to get them to tell on somebody during that time. They have nothing to lose. But at the end of the day, if they're smart, they'll use it. Yeah. But most organizations do not, because all they can hear and see is the aggression and the anger from you. Oh, they just had a bad attitude. We're not using any of this. Sally was just so angry. She was just she had such a bad attitude. But no, she told y'all the truth. There's a lot of truth to what she said. There's a lot of people sitting in the seats there that feel the same way. So yeah, no, you're not obligated.
Yeah.
Okay. And you recently made a post about being willing to relocate.
Yes.
For jobs. Expound upon that, because I think some people, speaking about me, are rooted. Like I've never left North Carolina. So like talk about that. Like being able to,
even if it's a remote position, a lot of the remote positions are asking for people to be in the vicinity of certain areas. They'll relocate you. So I mean, be sure to ask what the relocation package is. Organizations will give you a relocation package. It may be, packing up your whole house, selling your house, and then taking you from one coast to the next. Or it could be a lump sum. It could be, I'll just bring your car out there, whatever. They have finances to help accommodate for that. So yeah, I would always put that on the table.
And what if they say they don't have funds for relocation?
Then ask for a sign-on. Then ask for more in your sign-on bonus. Hey, you guys are wanting me to relocate. Maybe they don't come. So a couple of companies are getting like, I really don't want you to relocate. Just sit at your house. Charlotte, sit at your house.
Right.
We're not paying for that. We don't need you over here on the West Coast.
Right.
No, but if they're wanting you to, well, can we discuss, some sort of sign-on, some upfront, an increase in my sign-on to assist with that. So,
okay. And then, so with that, so there's sign-on bonuses, there's your salary, there's your regular bonus. So it's the sign-on, how does it, because I've never gotten a sign-on bonus, so
is that closer to the mic?
Look, never had that happen yet.
Is
it like cash? Like, here you go. This is, before you even start, here's some money.
Yes. So typically you have to work the job, maybe the first 30 days. Some companies will give it to you in your first check. Some companies will say, you know what, I'll take it over a different, an extensive period of time. Like you might get a little bit this year, you might get a little bit in 6 months, you might get, over a period of time that will equal up to this amount.
That sounds like a work bonus.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a retention bonus, so to speak. And they're very prevalent and popular right now. So people should ask for them because people are trying to retain people. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a really big trend with even executive people leaving roles in 90 days.
Oh, wow.
It's an expensive hire to hire someone in the C-suite. People are leaving. I got a better deal. I got $100,000 more over here with such and such. They provided me with a retention bonus. I'm leaving. And I say at that level because they typically don't leave. Like executives, like if they stay somewhere for 2 years, that's a short period of time.
Right.
Like, because there's such an expensive hire. It's so much that goes into that. So everybody else should govern themselves accordingly. So if you're going to the table, like all these companies are realizing that, like, hey, we can't even keep our top.
Right.
If we're having a problem keeping our top, we probably should give the little 2-cent sign-on bonuses that everybody underneath them want.
Right.
So yeah. Just a little secret there.
I need to look into this. I haven't got a sign-on bonus either.
Sign-on bonuses too. Again, if you talk about how do you ask for one, kind of with the salary, again, doing your research. What do you have on the table that, affairs that you need to square up? Is it a bonus that you're leaving? If anybody leaves right now, some people, fiscal year, you may miss out on your bonus. So you could request a sign-on in that. Or maybe it's, you need to take some time off and you just want to request a sign-on to tide you over to, as you're squaring away affairs, like you may have a lapse in there or whatever. Or you just may ask for a sign-on bonus for a gap. Let's say you asked for, let's go back to the 120 and you wanted the 140, but they couldn't fill the gap. Okay, well, give me a little bit more in the sign on. Relocation, anything that you can attach to it.
Right.
And if you can't attach to it, just ask for it. I would request it. Is there any way that I could request a sign on to go along with this?
Because that man in her example in the last episode just asked
All right.
for his money.
Oh, he
So
asked
are they taxed differently? Like that they wouldn't, I guess, of course, salary is year over year. So they're like, no, but the sign on is, I guess, one-time bonus, but the company itself is not taxed differently based on it. Like that's why they're more favorable because they know it's a one-time deal versus.
Yep. Here's the thing about it's a one-time ordeal. So think about it. If let's say there is that gap of, they gave me a 130, but I really wanted that 140. They gave me a $10,000 sign on. Well, that's one time that I have to pay that. So a lot of times you'll notice people that say, nope, I want the sign on. Just give me $5,000 more in my salary because that's giving you future leverage for merit increase. So the goal is to negotiate hard for everything,
right?
And make sure you have your numbers together. You're overworking your numbers. Where I'm happy to be at the 130 and I get the 10,000 sign on bonus. It was a come up for me anyway, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it is taxed. So just, govern yourself accordingly with how you put that
lump sum.
Yeah, that lump sum and how you, because it can get you. And then there's sometimes where you can even ask for the company to give, I want this pre-tax. This is the number. I want you to cover the taxes on there. So I want a $20,000 sign-on bonus, but I'm going to ask for 25 because I want to receive the 20,000. So you can ask them if they have a pre-tax. Some companies will have it where they can absorb it and take your taxes for you. So
that's good info.
Now I will say, because people get tripped up, that little trick. If y'all put exempt on your little pay W-2 to get that full bonus, you're going to pay it at some point, first of all. But if you do it, make sure you switch it back because you're going to owe some money. Because I know, people do it. I'm just saying.
They do. They do. A lot of people
and it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget.
Make sure you switch that back over. Whatever you're going to do, if that's how you're going to get all your funds up front.
People are adults, govern yourself accordingly. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. No.
Leave it be.
Yeah.
So you posted a while back yourself personally, you posted it. So I'm like, okay. So you posted that you kind of, in your resignation flex, you set up a position for yourself where you have more autonomy. You have that balance. You're able to do the things you love, but also work.
Yep.
And so what are some of the things that people could do if they are trying to set themselves up to be more autonomous? Maybe they're looking for even a corporate role that's part-time or something where, you're fully remote or just to be able to do other things. What are some of the things that they should be doing or how did you prepare to be in that position?
One thing, you want to assess your situation. Everybody's situation is different. What about health insurance? In my situation, I'm the person that holds the health insurance because my husband is a business owner, 100%. He owns his own firm.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that, for me, I always make sure that everybody has health insurance.
Yeah.
And so I started to look at health insurance from a self-employment standpoint, the marketplace. Luckily, where I'm doing the contract, they have not bad benefits. So that's a part of what, that I negotiated. So you want to assess that. Okay. Then you want to assess okay, what does it look like for me? If I decided to work part-time, would I still be okay? And what does my hourly rate need to be? Or what do I need to bring to the table in order to do that? Again, being a business. It's a business. Your business of one, whether you in corporate or outside, or consulting. As a consultant, maybe it may be best for you to write proposals for your expertise and your experience and just, do various projects. And maybe you're okay with that. A lot of project managers and people that are on the agile side, scrum masters, they do that. You ever notice that? I'm on to my next project. Girl,
they leave quick.
You just going with the wind. You just flying around. Places, some of your big places like Deloitte, that's what they are, consultants.
Right.
They sit to the table, they solve the problem, and then they go somewhere else and they, tear stuff up there and solve it again, rinse and repeat. You can do that as yourself. So in this market, people could really look at contracting and paring down from kind of the corporate construct that we know today. And just get very creative You know, do I need more sleep? Maybe I don't like working on Fridays, you know, or maybe I want to work in a different zone, a different time zone. For me, I work in a different time zone. So, which gives me more time back, you know, because I can start, my start time is totally different. So get creative, right? Just write is really about you. It starts with you. What do you need? What do you want? And then going out and finding
Write the vision, make it plain.
That's it.
I'm telling you. Oof. What you got?
I don't have anything else. Look, I'm soaking all this information up. I love the fact, you know, that thinking of yourself as a business of one, because I think oftentimes when we think about ourselves as employees, especially in corporate, we don't think of ourselves as a business, right? Negotiating, trying to get the things that are best for us, taking into account that our business is our home. How are we running our affairs that are at home, right?
Yeah.
And taking into account all that. So just putting a light on that and making people think that way, making our divas and devos think that way about themselves. I really, really appreciate you even saying that. You know? Yeah. Because I think all the time we only think, oh, well, if I'm not an entrepreneur and I don't have my own business, then there is no business.
It's a business. So, it's always a business.
I love that.
Money to be made.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell the people where they can find you, because I'm pretty sure if they haven't by now, they're gonna be like, "Look, I need to talk to that Courtney girl.
Right.
Where's she?
You can find me on Instagram. You can also just reach out to me directly, email me. We're working on the site to be more functional for the professional side, because I also service businesses as well.
Right.
So they really don't. Their call outs are a little bit different.
Okay.
So we're looking to have the site more for the professionals to come. But you can email me directly, Courtney at thecareersociety.com. Courtney at thecareersociety.com. I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook. And I have some things that will be coming up, some groups and things that will be coming up to kind of help people to have more information so that they can reach out to me.
Thank you. We, again, are so excited that you were able to be here. Y'all make sure y'all go follow her on Instagram at The Career Society and The Career Whisperer. And go back, if you hadn't listened to the interview and you're in the process of trying to get the job, go back and listen to her. In December, we had her on for the interviews, but we really appreciate the information and the wealth of knowledge that you just bring to the table, because it's obviously that you know your stuff and you know, talk about it with ease. And this, for a lot of people, even me, like, you know, interviews are my Achilles heel, right? So I don't flow through them. I have to practice. And I think people having your services that also feel like me it's a really, really big help and a much needed service. So we really appreciate you bringing that wealth of knowledge to the table.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So we will have her information in our episode notes. Quick, do you have a tip?
I do not have a tip. Just go follow her and make sure that if you're resigning, like she said, just circling back on that, make sure if you're resigning that you aren't just leaving in anger and that you're not doing it on the whim of emotion, making sure, because when you do that, then you're just creating more stress for yourself, right? Making sure that you have a plan and that you work that plan and that you are doing the interviews so that when you leave, you are your own closure, right?
Yeah. I'm going to leave. I don't know if I wanted to leave you guys with this. You said one thing about companies replacing you. You're replaceable. They'll replace you the next day. I'll leave you guys with this story. A guy died in a fishing accident on a Saturday. I was on the phone with his manager Monday morning. She cried the entire time, but his position was posted that Monday morning. I'm just going to leave you with
one
that.
business day.
There you go.
One business.
You said
day.
3 weeks.
Well,
No,
I still do. It take a little time.
Yeah. I mean, she cried, but I mean, at the end of the day,
Right.
he was going to be replaced immediately. Another warm body. That's it. So just remember that when you go to the negotiation table. That's why I have zero remorse when I negotiate.
Yeah. We have loyalties oftentimes to things that are not loyal to us. So.
And just like the kids say, they're a vibe, you're a business. So you keep that same energy.
I'm a vibe and a business.
Right. All of that. So future episodes, questions, comments, shenanigans, we are divaadvice@gmail.com. You can also follow us on the things, Facebook, Instagram. We're consistent, Divas and Ducats. Website, divasandducats.com. And in the meantime, in between time,
we'll say have a great attitude. And if you are on YouTube right now, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Have a great attitude.
Bye.
Bye.